All right, so when these violent conflicts are in the news, the images that we see often leave kids confused and scared. So how do you talk to your kids about the events that unfolded in Charlottesville?
Yeah, just something else to worry about here. Roma Bhatt, a therapist with Legacy Community Health, is here. Thank you for joining us and for your input today.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's so hard to keep kids sheltered these days, and really you don't want to because it does them a disservice. So how do you approach this subject, what transpired this weekend, with your kids?
You know, the first thing we need to do is talk about it. Being silent only makes children feel that it's too scary to even talk about. And so we want to listen. We want to find out what our kids know, what their understanding is of what happened and what it means for them when they go to school, when they go in public places, and when they're home with their family.
I would assume the information you share and converse about depends on the age of the child.
Absolutely.
Some kids know and understand more than
That's
others.
right.
Okay, so I have a 9-year-old. So the approach there should be what?
You know, starting with a 9-year-old, I would ask your child, what is it that you understand? What's happened? And how do you feel about the choices that were made? What can you do differently? How can you express yourself in a way that's not hateful and not violent and not racist? How do you express yourself and do that appropriately? Start with questions. Find out what they need to know, what they want to know. We want to be mindful not to overexpose our children to secondary trauma, to cause more anxieties than needed, but we want to be authentic. We want to be congruent. We're scared too.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, with teens, it's a little different because they have access really to everything, and you can have a more mature conversation with them. How do you approach that? It
starts with the home. It starts with the way the caregivers are teaching and modeling behaviors for those teens, asking teens, what do you do if you have a disagreement with somebody at school? How do you resolve that? And what's the best way to go about it with love and respect? What we're seeing is wrong. What we're seeing is inappropriate. And teaching our children that we don't stand for that is important.
Well, how do you make them feel safe, though? You see these images of violence, and a child who may not be Caucasian, who may not be white, might fear for their safety. How do you make your kids feel safe?
You know, you tell them that they're loved and that they're cared for, and at home we can do all that we can to be good citizens that make good choices. In the world, we can't promise that things are going to be perfect and safe, but we can have caregivers in the schools, administration. There's safety implementations that are there for them to know, what do we do in the event of an emergency?
And I have to say, as a parent, that's the one thing I struggle with, but I acknowledge I can't guarantee my kids' safety.
You can't lie to them.
Yeah. Thanks, Roma. Appreciate it.
Thank you.